I'm not the caricatures they show you on TV. When you compare the TV caricatures they have shown you and the real man, it's not the same. I think through what I say. I don't talk anyhow. So, the direction we are going, in my view, is positive. In my view. And I can only express my view. You can express yours, I can only express mine. Why do I say that? Politically, vigorous campaigns happened last year. Everyone, more or less, except me, was allowed to register as a voter, campaign vigorously, run for office. I was not allowed because I was locked out, but I voted. After the vote, the IEBC counted the votes and announced the results. If you disagree with the results, you may go to court, which some people did, and if you do go to court, you must accept the results from the court. If you don't go to court, and that is your choice. In 2017, I did not go to court. I formed the National Resistance Movement. I made a choice, right? And I led the boycotts, had the people's assemblies, and wanted to bring down Uhuru Kenyatta. He was so scared, he called his men and locked me out of the country. That's a weakness, not a strength. Because he could have faced me. I was unarmed, just one person speaking. You don't have to lock me out of the country. Bring it on. Let's debate. Let's convince Kenyans who is right and who is wrong. He knew I was right. So the only way is to lock you out of the country. I think history will be the judge. Okay? As Castro said, history shall absolve me. I say it is positive because these people went to court. The court presided over the case. The Supreme Court had a unanimous decision. There was no dissent. It would require incredulity for anybody to say that all these Supreme Court judges were somehow remotely through osmosis, hijacked, abducted, then somebody wrote their judgment and proclaimed the results. Or that they were complete idiots. We know that they are not. Right? It would also be quite remarkable for someone to say, but all these people were bribed. So ask the question, and this is a logical question. So assuming that Ruto bribed all the Supreme Court judges, assuming that is true, ask the question, why couldn't Uhuru do the same? Why couldn't Raila do the same? Who was in charge of the treasury at the time? Who had more money? Truthfully speaking, factually speaking, the man who controlled the treasury or another person who had fallen out with the control of treasury? Certainly the man with the treasury, isn't it? So why couldn't he give them more so that they could declare Raila Odinga president? So you can see the logic falls there. They say, oh, Ruto had a lot of money to distribute. How? How old is Ruto? Who is his father? How much did they earn or have when he was born? How much did he inherit? Even if he is an Olympian thief, which they allege he is, can you compare it to the Kenyatta and Moi plutocracy? Really, can you? No. So therefore, that logic falls on his face. So I have to say, we are on the right trajectory because politically, the transition happened notwithstanding the shenanigans of those in power, which means the people can dictate who their leaders will be. Because if you could defeat a sitting president and a former prime minister with the deep state, with everything else, with the instruments of power, with all the billionaires from Mount Kenya region supporting them, and the propaganda from the media, then it means the people have power. That is encouraging. It means in politics, money does not win. Weapons do not win. Ruto was the only deputy president I'm aware of, other than Miguna the civilian, who was stopped from flying where he wanted to go. He wanted to go just to Uganda. Wasn't he stopped from going? Yes. So if a man cannot even fly to Uganda, how could he compromise the entire Supreme Court? Ask yourself the question. When the Supreme Court was sequestered to look at the evidence and make a decision, who was guarding them? The police and the military. Who was their head? Uhuru Kenyatta was the commander-in-chief. So who could reach them? Was it Ruto or Uhuru Kenyatta? Who had control over all the Safaricom lines, Airtel lines, all the WhatsApp and everything else? NIS. Who was in charge of NIS? Uhuru Kenyatta. Let nobody deceive you. So, fear is not in my DNA. It's completely absent. I don't fear anybody or anything. I have already resolved the issue of death. I did. So when these people come, they don't find a fearful man. I just wait for them and say, what do you want? They tell me, oh, get into the car. So I get into the car. I don't ask them where. I don't care where. And I don't care for how long. And I don't care, will I be released? Will I be killed? That's their problem. And I tell them, it's your problem. I was telling them even in detention, I really don't care how long you keep me here or what you do. What I know is that whatever you want me to do or say, I will not do or say. So you give up. Don't ask the question, because you will not get the answer you want. They brought things to sign. I say, I will not sign anything unless you actually sign it for me. Physically force my hand, which will not be a signature. It will be a chicken scroll. So really, when you are dealing with somebody who does not fear you, you know you are confused. That is how come they could take me to court. I don't fear Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't fear William Ruto. I don't fear Raila Odinga. I don't fear power. I don't fear wealth. I don't worship them. I don't kneel before anyone and will never do. You see? They say that is arrogance. Well, that is good arrogance. Fortunately for me, I earn my living using my brain. I don't have to beg anybody. You know, it is beautiful when you don't have to beg anybody to earn a living. I don't have to do anything for anybody to earn a living. I just have to be able to show that I'm capable of doing work. That's it. So I can work in any country of the world and will earn a living comfortably. I will be paid comfortably in any part of the world because I am confident in my abilities and I have proven myself. If many of you did what I do, there is not enough space to jail you. There is not enough jails or policemen or prison officers to guard over you. You are 50 million as Kenyans. So nobody can jail 50 million people. You can't even jail 250,000. You know the entire armed forces is 250,000, right? So look at that, 250 versus 45 or 49 million. It's impractical, it is impossible. So which means the only solution is to stop your fear. For those who are men here, be a man. For those who are women, be a real woman. Should we vote when our votes don't count? Who says your vote doesn't count? I'll give you an example. Meru County. Who is the governor? Kawira Mwangaza, right? A woman, an independent candidate. Who did she defeat? Ruto Burungi. Is that not power? He has been in government for a long time, but he resisted. There was a time he ran into exile also, right? If you guys remember, or maybe you had not been conceived, but at least you read history. Ruto Burungi has been in power or in government forever. Lituri was in UDA, which formed the government. Did she win or not? Did they go to Supreme Court or High Court to challenge her election? So how can you say votes don't count? Just right here in Meru, votes count. It is the only thing in the democratic electoral process that counts. And if you do and participate in elections, you will realize the only way to bring change peacefully in elections and in a political process is through voting. So register all of you and vote. Vote for whoever you want, right? But if you are wise and you are intelligent, you will organize yourselves and vote as a bloc for whoever you want. The person who